Well, we're back to our normally scheduled production. So wake up, Albert. Hello, and welcome back, everyone, to a show that hopefully makes you feel something inside. No pressure. It's The Growing Show. Actually, this week, Albert caused me a lot of problems because he fell off my windowsill where he normally stays when he's not starring in this show, and he got dirt everywhere. And I was like, you know, this is probably the closest thing I'm going to get in my young adult life to a pet that makes a mess on my floor. I am so patient. It's the Grow Show, the What Do You Know show, the show dedicated to trying our best. Won't you join me and learn from our own lives and share with each other and care for each other and learn to apologize? And it might hurt, but it is worth it. At The Growing Show. Welcome to The Growing Show, everybody. If you are new here, welcome. I'm your host, Isabel. This is a talk show that is dedicated to growth and development as a human being. If that's something that's up your alley, please like, comment, and subscribe. You can subscribe down below or right up there. It just helps so much. You supporting me, sending me messages, commenting, subscribing. It helps me sustain the show and continue making things for this community. So thank you. Also, I'm almost at 100 subscribers. Check this out. And once we hit 100, I can name it YouTube.com/The Growing Show officially. So please subscribe if you haven't. That would be incredibly helpful and exciting. Now, for those of you that haven't been with us before, I love to share a snack with everyone during the show. So this week's snack is, drumroll, water. I'm not super hungry, and it is because I ate right before the show. So I thought I'll just drink water, and if you want to drink water, you can too. Or free snack, get whatever you want. If you want a snack, here's some time to go get that right now. And if you don't, here's something to entertain you while you wait. Last week was so wonderful, and thank you for the incredible support you poured out to both Oshun and The Growing Show. Holding Oshun's story with tenderness was so important to me and to this show, and we couldn't have done it without all of you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for growing with us to become more loving, more authentic versions of ourselves. I do want to say this, though. I do not read the full stories before the show. So you may think that this is a very elaborately structured talk show. It's not. It is my true live reaction to the story. And sometimes that means that I have to cut out like 4 to 5 minutes of me just staring into space and processing. But you don't get to see that. So I just wanted you to know that I am live reacting to things. I don't want you to feel like I'm putting on a facade, because I'm really not. But this week, I think we have a very, very special story. So let's get into it. This story is from a girl I went to high school with. Her name is Haley. Wow, we have 2 back-to-back people that went to high school with Isabel stories. Shout out Rice Lake. Bless. Haley was a huge role model of mine, and it was incredible to get a story from her because, maybe you remember someone from high school that you really looked up to. Haley was older than me by a few years, and we were on the swim team together. I just thought she was so cool and wise and beautiful, and maybe you have someone that you can remember from high school that you just thought were the coolest person. And so, just so exciting to hear from her. I think we should get right into the story. I got married recently to the love of my life. Looking back on that day, everything has this warm, glowy quality to it. The day was so full of love. It was magic. We got our wedding pictures back a few days ago, and I can't stop looking at them. I'm obsessed. The love is so palpable in every photo. That's good. I'm pretty sure that's how you're supposed to feel about your wedding and your photos and all the memories and traditions that go along with it. Looking at the photos, I can't stop thinking about that day. But I also can't stop thinking about myself 10 years ago, at 16. 16-year-old me would have hated every wedding photo she saw of herself. She would have cringed at how she smiled too wide, crinkling her nose and folding her neck into a soft double chin. She would have purged the album of any pictures from her right side, which reveals the lateral incisor that is just a shade or two darker than the other, a few degrees crooked. She would have obsessed over the size of her arms and the broadness of her shoulders. She would have hated her dress for showing even a few of her stretch marks or failing to obscure her armpit fat. 16-year-old me would have looked at those photos and compiled an itemized list of every imperfection that she could find. Today I look at those photos and all I can think of is, have you ever seen anyone so in love? And I think that's pretty cool. I've spent a lot of time over the last 10 years working on my self-image, how I perceive myself and how I relate to the world. I keep reminding myself to be gentle. Be gentle with myself the same way that I am with others. And most of the time I feel like I'm not very good at it. I certainly still have a lot of work ahead of me. But looking at those wedding pictures, I can admit to myself that I've made progress, and not an insignificant amount of progress either. I'd like to think that even if my 10-year-old self would have hated the pictures, she'd be proud of where I ended up. Crinkly nose, crooked tooth, and all. Body image is one of the hardest things, for me personally, too. You know, it was incredibly brave of Haley to share this. I think a lot of times we always say, make your 16-year-old self proud, make your younger self proud, be the person that your younger self would want. And to have Haley say, I think my 16-year-old self would be really critical of my wedding photos. It does demonstrate the growth that she's had as a person, but it's also really hard to admit. I think my younger self would also be really critical of my current body. Maybe yours would too. I don't want to speak in generalizations for girls because it doesn't mean that boys don't struggle with body image either, but I know this is a really common theme in the women that I love. I know a lot of people too that can point to things in their lives where they were trained as young people to pick themselves apart. Like Haley said, her crooked tooth, her broad shoulders. Haley was and is one of the most beautiful people I know. And knowing that she doesn't give herself that credit breaks my heart. But it reminds me too that I don't consider myself to be a beautiful person. But maybe, I'm almost certain of it, there are people that do consider me to be beautiful too, in the same way I consider Haley to be beautiful. Now, I don't say this because I want you to comment or reach out and be like, oh, you're really pretty. No, that's not the point. I think the point that Haley is bringing up is we have to do the work to love our own bodies. Oshun talked about this a lot last week. It's so hard to love and feel at home in the body that we're in when the world has taught us that it's not enough. I think Haley, too, also points to what really is at the heart of this story. She looks at herself and says, have you ever seen someone so in love? That's what mattered on her wedding day. How can I in my life, how can we in our lives, instead of looking at ourselves so critically in the mirror, look at ourselves and say, she looks so happy today. He looks so strong today. I look so calm right now. I look so in love. Letting ourselves be defined by who we are on the inside rather than what we look like on the outside. This is way easier said than done. This is way easier said than done. Oh, this is such a hard story because I relate to it so much. And maybe you do too. But how can we learn to define ourselves by our hearts? I'm going to end today with a challenge. I want you to find a photo of yourself that you really don't like. And I want you, like Haley, to say something that is good and true about yourself. I'll do this too. Maybe you could say, I've never looked happier, or I felt so comfortable in that moment, or I was laughing really hard. Maybe, like Haley, we can begin to judge ourselves based on our inside, on our lived experiences, rather than on our physical bodies. Our bodies are good, and they're beautiful in all of their forms. And I think it's time to put genuine effort, to put consistent, loving effort into remembering that. Thank you, Haley, for sending that in, and congratulations on your wedding. If you, like Haley, have a story of growth or want to come on the show like Oshun, let me know at thegrowingshow@gmail.com. Any way that you like, share, subscribe, interact is so important to me. I didn't make this show just so I could give you all of my wisdom, which I don't have a ton of, but so that I could hold the mirror up to your stories, so we can keep learning from each other. It is a gift to be here with you, friends. Thank you. And that's today's show. Well, I'm Isabel, and I may not know much. This has been The Growing Show.